In the world of film, true magic often emerges not just from a gripping storyline or an actor's performance, but from the resilience and passion poured into overcoming obstacles behind the scenes. Before becoming one of Hollywood's biggest stars, Brad Pitt had to navigate a series of hardships, starting with humble beginnings in Missouri and later facing significant challenges on film sets. Roles like Detective David Mills in Seven required him to embrace unexpected pain and turn it into art, forever cementing his status as a Hollywood icon. Through setbacks like these, Pitt not only brought authenticity to his characters, but also demonstrated a level of commitment that few can match, proving that it's often the toughest moments that create filmmaking magic. Before becoming one of Hollywood's biggest stars, Brad Pitt led a surprisingly normal life. Born in Oklahoma in 1963, Pitt was raised in Springfield, Missouri, in a conservative household. His father, Bill Pitt, owned a trucking company, while his mother, Jane Pitt, worked as a family counselor. As the eldest of three siblings, Pitt was active in school sports, joining the golf, swimming, and tennis teams at Kickapoo High School. When it came time for college in the mid-1980s, Pitt attended the University of Missouri, where he pursued a degree in journalism. He was just 2 credits away from graduating in his final semester when he decided to change course. Rather than completing his degree, Pitt packed up and drove to Los Angeles, aiming to start a career in acting. He initially told his family that he would be enrolling in the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, but he never followed through with that plan. Instead, Pitt started navigating the streets of LA with no contacts and very little money, relying solely on his love for film and determination to make it in the industry. Like many aspiring actors, Pitt took on various odd jobs to support himself during his early days in Los Angeles. According to The Talco, he worked as a furniture mover, chauffeured clients in a limousine, and even donned a chicken costume while working for the restaurant El Pollo Loco. Despite the struggle, Pitt's focus remained on his goal, and he soon joined an acting class. His persistence paid off when he attended an audition with a classmate who was trying to secure representation from an agent. To everyone's surprise, Pitt ended up getting signed instead. Just 7 months after arriving in Los Angeles, he had an agent and began landing small acting roles. Pitt's early career involved minor parts in television shows and films. But in 1991, he secured a pivotal role that would change everything. Playing a charming hitchhiker in the film Thelma and Louise, Pitt captivated audiences despite having only a few minutes of screen time. This performance became his breakout role, launching him into the public eye and setting the stage for a meteoric rise in Hollywood. From that point on, Pitt left his unassuming past behind and embraced a life of fame and stardom. When Brad Pitt stepped into the role of Achilles for Wolfgang Petersen's epic film Troy, he was determined to bring the legendary warrior to life with absolute authenticity. For months, he pushed his body to its limits, undergoing a grueling 6-month training regimen that included intense workouts and 4 protein-rich meals a day to sculpt himself into fighting form. Everything was about becoming Achilles, the nearly invincible Greek hero known for his strength and agility. But in a cruel twist of fate, the actor suffered a blow that Achilles himself might have found painfully ironic. While filming one of the final fight scenes, Pitt's Achilles tendon gave out after enduring countless jumps, sprints, and clashes in the desert sand. The injury was serious enough to halt production for several weeks, leaving Petersen scrambling to reorganize the shoot and keep the project on track. For the director, who was already dealing with a host of other challenges, including a hurricane that had previously swept through the set, Pitt's injury felt like another unfortunate twist in an already troubled production. It seemed almost surreal. The man playing the greatest warrior of Greek mythology, one known for his lone weakness in his heel, had actually torn his own Achilles tendon. By the time the film wrapped, both Pitt and the production team were exhausted from the relentless physical toll. Reflecting on his injury, Pitt explained that after months of pushing himself through demanding stunts and battle choreography, his body had reached its breaking point. "It's just wear and tear and all the jumping and fighting in that sand," he shared. It was near the very end, and we'd been shooting and training for months at that point. It just said, "I'm done. I need a rest." Despite the setback and the eventual mixed reception of Troy, Pitt's commitment to the role did not go unnoticed. Many praised his dedication and the way he embraced the physicality of Achilles, even enduring the irony of an injury that many considered almost poetic. For Pitt, portraying the mythic hero meant more than just playing a part. It was about pushing his own limits and, in the end, facing his own form of Achilles' heel. Back in the 90s, audiences were just as captivated by intense detective thrillers as they are today. Films featuring troubled detectives squaring off against cunning and ruthless killers were a recipe for success. Seven, starring Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman, perfectly captured this dynamic. The movie followed Pitt's character, Detective David Mills, and Freeman's seasoned detective Lieutenant William Somerset, as they pursued a deranged serial killer who was meticulously murdering victims based on the 7 deadly sins. In the film, Mills is an ambitious young detective eager to prove himself, while Somerset is on the brink of retirement, his long career leaving him jaded and weary. The two find themselves racing against time to catch the killer before he completes his grim mission. But behind the scenes, an unexpected accident would add an unforeseen twist to the production. Just 3 days into filming, Brad Pitt was shooting a chase scene on a rain-soaked Los Angeles street when he slipped on the wet hood of a car. He crashed into a pane of glass, severely injuring his arm and slicing a tendon in his hand. The injury was serious enough to require an emergency hospital visit and several stitches. With production already in full swing, the filmmakers faced a dilemma: halt filming or find a way to work around Pitt's injury. Rather than disrupt the entire schedule, they chose the latter option, writing the injury into the script and incorporating it into the character's arc. As a result, Pitt's Detective Mills appeared with a real injury, lending even more authenticity to his portrayal of a young cop battered by the harsh realities of his job. But that wasn't the only impact Pitt had on Seven. When he signed on for the film, Pitt insisted that one of its most shocking scenes, the infamous head-in-the-box moment, remain unchanged. The studio had suggested altering the script, fearing that such a grim conclusion might tarnish Mills's heroic image. They even proposed substituting the victim's head with that of a dog. Pitt, however, stood firm, believing the scene's brutal honesty was essential to the story's integrity. Pitt also made subtle contributions to his character's appearance. Originally, the creators envisioned Mills as a hipster detective. Pitt, however, wanted to emphasize the character's inexperience and youthful energy, so he added his own touch by wearing sports-themed ties throughout the film. It was a small but deliberate choice that further defined Mills's persona. Even the details that seemed small on screen were given extraordinary attention. For example, the film's meticulous depiction of the killer's notebooks was no small feat. It took months to fill out the pages, and the process cost a staggering $15,000. Director David Fincher decided to showcase this painstaking work in the film's eerie title sequence, adding to the overall grim atmosphere. With all these elements combined, Seven became more than just another detective thriller. It turned into a haunting classic that continues to intrigue audiences. Brad Pitt's dedication, alongside his willingness to embrace the darker aspects of the role and fight for the integrity of the film, contributed to its lasting impact.